Here's something most people have never tried. It's simple, it requires zero technical knowledge, and it changes what AI is actually used for. Most people use AI like a very fast search engine. You describe a problem, you ask for a solution, and you get something back that sounds helpful. Sometimes it is. More often, it's a confident, well structured response that fits your situation about as well as advice from someone who's never met you. Today, we're going to show you a completely different way to use it. One that I'd argue is more valuable than anything else you can do with it. And it starts by asking AI to do the opposite of what you've been asking it to do. You know the feeling. Something in your business is off. Revenue is okay, maybe. The team is showing up. You're getting things done, but something is dragging. Something is keeping you from the kind of growth or momentum you expected to have by now. It follows you around. You feel it in the morning when you sit down to work. You feel it in the meetings when conversations go in circles. You feel it at the end of the day when you've been busy for 8 hours and you can't point to anything that actually moved the needle. The frustrating part is that you can't name it. And when you can't name a problem, you can't solve it. You just carry it. So we do what humans have always done when something feels wrong and we can't figure out why. We find someone to talk to. A mentor, a business partner, a friend who runs their own thing and gets it. We sit down, we describe the feeling as best as we can, and we hope that saying it out aloud to another person helps us make sense of it. And sometimes it does. Sometimes just the act of describing it starts to clarify it. But the real value, when it works, comes from the other person, from what they say back to you. And the best ones, the people who are genuinely useful in those conversations, they don't lead with advice, they lead with questions. Think about the best thinking partner you've ever had. A manager who made you better, a mentor who helped you work through something hard, a peer you called when you were stuck. What made them valuable? They asked the question you hadn't thought to ask yourself. They said, "What does winning actually look like to you here?" Or, "What have you already tried and why didn't it work?" Or, "Who else is affected by this that you haven't talked to yet?" Those questions reframe everything. They take a vague, swirling problem and give it edges. Suddenly, you can see it. And once you can see it, you can actually work on it. That's a skill. Knowing which question to ask and when. And most people don't have someone like that on speed dial. So when people bring a problem to AI, the instinct is to ask for the answer. What should I do about this? How do I fix this? Give me a plan. It makes complete sense. That's how we've been using AI. Type in a question, get back an answer. It's fast, it's available, and it feels productive. The problem is the sequence. You're skipping a step, and it's a critical one. An AI will give you an answer every single time, confidently, with structure, in a format that looks thorough and useful. But a confident answer to a vague question is still a vague answer. It sounds plausible, it might even sound exactly right. And then you try to apply it to your actual situation and realize it was built for nobody in particular, which means it was built for everyone in general, which means it was built for you specifically about as well as a door with no handle. The issue isn't the answer. The issue is that nobody figured out the real problem first. Here's what most people skip. When you feel stuck, you don't have an information problem. You have a clarity problem. You don't need more ideas. You don't need a longer list of things to try. You need someone to help you understand what you're actually dealing with before anyone starts offering solutions. Because if the problem isn't defined correctly, no solution is going to stick. The most valuable thing a thinking partner can do for you isn't answer your question, it's help you figure out if you're asking the right question in the first place. That's the step most people skip when they go straight to AI for answers. So here's the reframe. What if instead of asking AI for answers, you asked it to question you? Tell it your job is to ask. Tell it advice is off the table. Tell it you want it to surface what you haven't examined yet. Challenge what you're assuming and find the edges of a problem you can't quite see. That's a fundamentally different prompt. And it produces a fundamentally different result. Instead of a plan you weren't ready for, you get a set of questions you actually need to sit with. In a moment, we're going to open Claude and describe a stuck feeling, something vague and honest, the kind of thing you'd say to a mentor over coffee when you haven't figured out the words yet. No frameworks, no polished problem statement, no industry context or background, just the feeling described plainly, the way you would actually say it to another person. And instead of asking for a plan, we're going to ask for questions, 5 of them. And we're going to build the prompt in a way that forces Claude to stay in that mode and resist the pull towards advice. 5 questions are coming back, each one of them aimed at a specific blind spot. One targeting what you've been assuming, one targeting what success actually means to you, one about what you've already tried, one about who else is part of this picture, and one that, if this prompt does its job, is going to land somewhere uncomfortable. That last one is the one that matters. Because the question that makes you pause is almost always pointing at something real. All right, let's do it. So let's get into Claude. And here's how the prompt is built. The system prompt does one thing. It puts Claude into diagnostic mode. It tells Claude it is a thinking partner and its only job right now is to ask questions, not give answers or solutions. It specifies exactly 5 questions, numbered 1 through 5, 1 sentence each. No preamble, no explanation, no filler. And it tells Claude what those questions should accomplish. Surface assumptions, identify what success looks like, uncover what's already been tried, reveal who else is involved, and expose constraints that are shaping the problem. The rules matter. If you don't constrain Claude here, it will want to help you. It will slip into advice mode almost immediately. So here's the full system prompt that we're going to use. You are a diagnostic thinking partner. Your only job right now is to ask questions, not give answers or solutions. The user is going to describe a problem they're stuck on. Before offering any analysis, recommendations, or solutions, you must ask exactly 5 clarifying questions that will help both of you understand the real problem. Your question should do one or more of the following: surface assumptions the user may not have examined, identify what success actually looks like, uncover what has already been tried and why it didn't work, reveal who else is involved and how they see the situation, expose constraints or pressures that are shaping the problem. Rules: ask questions only. No advice, no solutions, no analysis yet. Number each question 1 through 5. Each question should stand on its own. No preamble, no explanation, no filler. Keep each question to 1 sentence. Make the questions feel like they came from a sharp consultant, not a chatbot. So let's go ahead and run that system prompt here so Claude knows what its job is for here. Claude's ready. Describe the problem. So here's the user input, and it is deliberately vague. Here's what we're pasting in. I feel like my business has stalled. We're busy, but not growing. and I don't know what to do about it. That's it. There's no industry context, no specifics, just the feeling. Let's go ahead and see what Claude comes back with. Number one, when you say growing, what would have to be the true 6 months from now for you to feel like the stall is over? Two, is the business busy with the right work, or are you filling capacity with things that don't move you forward? Three, what have you already tried to kickstart growth and what happened? Four, who else in the business is aware of this stall and do they see it the same way you do? Five, what's the one constraint you suspect is the real bottleneck, even if you haven't wanted to admit it yet? Take a look at the 5 questions we got back. That's exactly what we were asking for. There's no advice and no suggestions. Just questions is what we're looking for. So let's look at what came back. 5 questions, no solutions, no action items, no 3-step framework. Every one of those questions was aimed at something specific. Your definition of growth, what you've actually tried, whether being busy and being productive are the same thing. None of that required knowing your industry, your revenue, your team size, or anything else about your business. It just required knowing how to ask. That's what a good thinking partner does in the first 5 minutes of a real conversation. And you just had that conversation in about 30 seconds. From a description that was 4 sentences long. Here's the honest part. Claude asked the questions. That's the straightforward part. What comes next is entirely on you, because some of those questions are pointed at something you've been circling around, something you already know somewhere, but haven't wanted to look at directly. The output is only as useful as your willingness to answer honestly, to resist the urge to rationalize, and to actually go where the question is pointing. AI can surface the question, only you can do the reckoning that follows. And once you've answered them, you can take those answers right back to Claude and ask it to help you think through what they mean. Now you're having a real conversation. Now the answers it gives you will actually fit. The full system prompt is in the description below. Copy it, open Claude or any of the other AI tools, and paste in whatever you've been carrying around. You don't need to have it figured out. That's the whole point. If you want to explore what this kind of thinking looks like applied to your business with someone in your corner, that's what we do at Eau Claire AI. Check us out at eauclaireai.com. Subscribe if you want to keep seeing what AI can actually do. We've got new videos every week. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.